the drivers meeting that you guys had yesterday and what you think you came out of it thinking and where you think NASCAR will go and where the drivers will go?
I don't want to get into specifics of the meeting. And honestly, I don't know where NASCAR will go.
Are you not hopeful? You look like you're not hopeful, or hard to read your expression.
I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm sure that we'll get some explanation and certainly some reasoning behind the way things have happened. But I don't have any expectations one way or another that things are positive or negative. I'm just kind of even right now.
Is a new rear clip, is that the main goal or the main fix right now?
I think it's the main goal right now for NASCAR. It is to change the rear clip.
What about for the drivers?
The car needs to be redesigned. That it needs a full redesign. I mean, it can still be called next gen, but it needs to be redesigned.
So
How
you
much
start
of it?
over from scratch.
It needs to be redesigned everywhere, front, middle, rear, competition. The whole thing needs to be redesigned. It's, we got a tough Martinsville race that's coming up. It's gonna be tough, and this thing's just gonna get exposed about how bad it races, and that's just a part of it. The competition and safety. We'd like to have it all better, but certainly we just took a step back in safety and competition this year.
What about the timing of it, Denny? I mean, being able to get it done before the end of the season? I mean,
yeah,
obviously.
we just were late to the party. It's tough. We brought up these concerns with NASCAR last winter. We actually, as the drivers, didn't do that docu-series last year because we didn't feel comfortable with this next-gen car and the safety, the lack of safety testing that had been done before they started announcing that they were going to run it. So it's just we threw up red flags over a year ago, and they just didn't respond. They just kept pushing that this car's got to be on the racetrack at all cost. At all cost.
RCR built the car, but do you feel like more teams and more crew members from across the entire industry could have been more involved in hindsight?
Yeah, certainly. I think that teams obviously have the best employees, the best engineers. NASCAR has a very, very small workforce when it comes to competition, so it doesn't hold a candle to what these teams are capable of. But we even as the teams, I feel like we could react quicker. I know that many race teams put up money to design the car and build the car, but NASCAR didn't want any of the teams being a part of it. For competitive edge, that's why you go through tech. I think that they think that the teams would do something to make their cars better than the others, but in the end, our products are better than what we're getting.
A complete redesign is probably not likely, I'm guessing.
No, again, if I were to run this and say, all right, next year we're going to have a new car, we'd already be done with testing now for next year's car. We haven't even begun. We're just way too behind. This whole sport's behind.
Any more trepidation racing here at Talladega with this car than in the past?
Yeah, there's a higher risk. We all know there's a higher risk. I know that, the Talladega wreck here at that Kurt took, was a factor in him being permanently hurt, season, threatening or ending this year because of one of the tough hits he took here coming to the line in the spring. So it all adds up. All these hits add up. They don't just, okay, you survived this one, you're good to go for a next one. Like we saw it with Tua, right? You can't just keep getting hit, and nothing happen.
We've seen a lot of drivers speak out about the car and everything, excluding yourself and Brad, who are owner drivers. Are teams not involved enough or speaking out enough in this, and what is their stance on redesigning the car?
Well, we have to ask ourselves why we have the next-gen car, and it's to save the teams money, to cut cost. The sanctioning body has want to cut cost for the teams because it refuses to pay them. So they're trying to cut our costs so they don't have to pay. So this is why we're in the box that we're in. All this is revolving around cutting cost, and so that's why we're running this next-gen car, and that's essentially why we're in this box.
Are you realistic?
Are you prepared to spend more money to fix this car?
I mean, listen, we invest a lot in our drivers. I mean, when I lose someone like Kurt Busch, that financially is not good for me. I mean, so it's, as a team owner, I'm going to spend whatever I have to spend to make sure my drivers are safe. I'll worry about who's going to pay for that later. I'll pay for it now, but it's certainly not fair to the teams by any means.
When you and Harvick are on Twitter, being so emphatic, what are you trying to get accomplished like immediately? What's the first step that you're trying to push by doing that?
Trying to get someone to talk to us and listen.
And you don't feel like that's still happening?
Nobody has reached out to either one of us.
Denny, this car was even delayed a year with the pandemic, so how are we still in this position where it's this bad?
Bad leadership.
Last time I can think of anybody getting hurt this often was back in the 90s, and that obviously resulted in what we don't want to talk about, but how do we avoid something like that from happening again?
New leadership.
When you say bad leadership, who specifically?
I don't know, you just start at the top and work your way down.
What about the crash test that's happening next week? Do you know what's going to happen there? Is there any hope that any of that in Ohio, the crash test?
Yeah, it's encouraging that we're finally testing. I know that we hadn't had a real next-gen car crashed until late last year. This car's been in the works for years, and never had it been crashed until Talladega here, months before the season. That's negligence.
You say that the car needs to be entirely redesigned. If that's not feasible, is that feasible?
No, it's feasible.
Okay.
It's just NASCAR has to concede that they're not capable and let the teams do it.
Oh, so it's a battle between them having you do it and you wanting them to do it.
Yeah, well, they've got contracts too with companies that, who knows how that's turning out, but they've got contracts with companies to let them sell us parts. So again, you're going to have a lot of lawyer work that probably can't be undone.
Sounds hopeless, the way you're defining it.
It's not hopeless, but I'm just painting the real picture to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you move forward? Because so there's so much that has to get done. How do you move forward?
I don't know how you move forward. You just trust that someone's gonna wake up and say, all right, we didn't do a good job, we admit it, and we're gonna do better starting right now. We're gonna be retroactive, and we're not gonna be so reactive. We're not gonna wait till something bad happens to fix it. We see it with rules, and we see it with competition. It's all reactive, right? Never are they in front of anything. So you just gotta have to hope and pray that they wake up and have a different mentality.
You said they're not.
What's the feeling going into this race then, since you've had two drivers get hurt? This is the car you're racing, and there's the potential for accidents. And even though you had a concussion at this track before in another car.
I have, yeah. It's one of the thing about it though is that when we had issues then, we immediately at the team went to work that week. How can we fix it? And we're gonna fix it. We're just in a box here where we just can't change anything. So, I don't know what we do. We run around in circles until eventually we all say enough is enough, and we do something about it, or NASCAR essentially makes changes.
There were rumors.
Are enough drivers? You and Harvick have been very outspoken, and certainly your experience that can make you a leader in the garage. But
we can't do it alone. We can't do it alone though. The other guys they'll bitch and moan to us, but they need to have their voice heard as well. They're going to be in the sport for a long time, and when me and Kevin are gone, someone has to step up and be the voice of reason and call things as they are. I know a lot of these young guys are just happy to be here, but they ain't going to be happy to be here when their brains are scrambled for the rest of their lives.
You were saying earlier that, you feel like you weren't being able to talk to NASCAR and NASCAR wasn't listening, but don't you go through Jeff Burton and then?
Well, they listen and they'll tell you exactly what you want to hear to make you think that they're doing something, but in the end, they got more problems than they have people to handle it.
And was there ever a chance that you guys would boycott? There was rumors. I don't know that the internet says, you said we may have to do something, or we get to the point where we do something. What would you do?
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't got anywhere near that point, but certainly in the end, everyone has to make sure that they feel safe in the car. drivers, owners, everyone. Like, it's eventually, you know, the groups are gonna say we've all had enough if things continue.
Were you satisfied with the only on
Jared Haas with Frontstretch.com. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, check one of those 2 videos out that we have right beside you. Visit Frontstretch.com for more great content.